we're going to be doing no prep, low prep here. And really the idea here is, this is something that we hear from teachers all the time. Like we just know how things are going in the classrooms. There's no time. And so people really are intimidated by technology because they feel as if it takes a lot of time to prep for. And it really doesn't if you know what you're looking for and what you're going to do. So we're going to take a look at some of those ideas this afternoon. Now, I do have a disclaimer here before I get really start jumping in here. I am going to be jumping back and forth between about 5 or 6 different apps during the course of these 55 minutes. That is probably not what you will do in your classroom. All right. Don't feel as if, so this is a case of, do as I say, or do as I say, not as I do. But I wanted you to see the great variety that is out there. And some of the things that I will show you overlap between some of our different apps. But I wanted to just showcase if there's one app that you're particularly comfortable with. If you really like Nearpod, I want to show you can do in Nearpod what you can also do in Lumio too. So please do not feel as if what I am showing you is how we see this as happening in the classroom. It's not. So just as a disclaimer there as we get started. Now, when it comes to no prep, low prep, what I was taking, what my thought process was behind this was things that you could either do on the fly with your students, literally no prep, have them open something up and get ready to go, or something that you can do and start almost immediately as well. With the low prep, something that might take you 5 or 10 minutes just because you need to maybe assign it to students specifically or maybe make a small tweak. But again, things that for the most part are done. All right. So I'm truly looking at this, what I think of as from a no prep, low prep area. So with that in mind, you're going to see me create things from scratch as we go through. So cross your fingers that the technology and our connectivity works out here for us today. We've been putting a strain on it. So just fingers crossed on that one. So this idea here of, just getting some thoughts on what you feel like in planning. A great way to do this, and I'm going to have you all join me on this, is actually using a graffiti board. And this is something that you can do with Lumio. So I'm going to hop over into Drive and I'm going to create this from scratch on the fly because this happens in our classrooms. We know that, something, we have this great idea last minute or something that had, you forgot to do it, you ran out of time. What can I do as a backup? So I'm going into my Lumio, I'm going into Google Drive, go to my new, go to more, and I'm going to hop into Lumio. Now, while I was doing this, you all as my students can start hopping into Lumio as a student. And your students could be doing this in the classroom as well. So off of class link, if you would just click on the little firefly, that's going to take you directly to hellosmart.com. That's how you're going to get into Lumio. And I'm going to have you go ahead and join my session. So even though I don't have anything up yet, you're going to be able to join my class. So I'm going to drop the code in there for you in the chat. The beautiful thing about Lumio, which of course, as I said, I jinxed myself here as it's going to continue to spin, is that your code does not change. So you can do anything in Lumio. Your code is always the same. In my case, it's always 281133. Let's hope I remembered that properly. But it doesn't change. You can leave that posted on your board. For your students, if you force them to sign in with Google, which is what we would recommend, it will actually save it for them time after time. So after they've joined your class one time, it will actually pop up for them and say, join Mrs. Lambert's class. If you join me in the fall, I used Lumio then. It might even still be sitting there on your Lumio dashboard. And I did indeed jinx myself here. Lumio is just spinning like crazy here. Even my Google Drive is spinning like crazy. But my idea here is to push out a blank page. So if you've attended any of the other Lumio sessions today, I know Heather did it this morning, Sarah just did it in the session I was just in, you can push out a blank whiteboard page to students, all right? It's a class whiteboard, and the idea behind it, excuse me, the idea behind a graffiti board, there we go, finally. So I'm just gonna hit new, it's gonna keep spinning, there we go. I am just going to grab a new page. It's going to be perfectly blank. And I'm going to hit start this lesson. The idea behind a graffiti page is students can add their own thoughts and ideas. They can draw, they can type, they can bring in images from the image gallery. You're not limited to text or images like you are in a Shout It Out. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this started. I'm not even going to give it a title. I'm just going to hit my finish editing up here in the top corner. and I'm going to start my lesson. So hopefully everyone jumped in there. I gave the right code. I see I already have 24 people in there. So again, 281133. I can even pull that number up large here if I needed to by clicking my little hand people there. I am going to get 27 of you in there. Some people are slowly getting in there. Good. I can go ahead, and this was just a blank page. I want this to be collaborative. I want us to be working on this together. And again, just from the beginning, I can decide, is it going to be an individual handout, group workspace, or a whole class whiteboard? Because there's so many of you in here, I'm going to do a group workspace because I think having almost 60 of you on one page is going to be a bit much. So I'm going to go ahead and divide us up into groups. But think of this as you're pulling out that poster board or those big Post-it sheets and throwing it at your kids on the tables and say, start writing on a topic. And our topic is going to be this idea of planning. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do 8 groups. There they all go. Group work is done, and I can start that workspace. So you all have a moment. I'm going to give you just a minute. Throw in there on the page, what are your thoughts about planning right now, and how are teachers feeling about that? All right. I, as a teacher, of course, can come in here and open up any of these workspaces and see what has been added. Remember, over on the side, you have the ability to add text, images, and just writing if you just want to draw. And that's what I love about this, is that it does give the students opportunities to express themselves in the way that is best for them. Some like to do images, some like to draw, some like to just type. It gives them that variety. Too much time covering classes, no planning time. Curriculum is lacking. Yes. Am I allowed to say that I agree with you all on that one? Definitely agree with you. Not enough time, too much to do. I almost feel like no time like extras like technology. Absolutely. But again, here, the idea with even something like Lumio and this graffiti board is you can very quickly create that white slide and push it out to all of your students to jump in and respond. Now, one of the things, of course, is getting the students to be logged in. Have your students log in to their Chromebooks at the beginning of the day. Classroom management strategy. Have them either close the lid just partially or turn the whole Chromebook around so that they actually can't see their screen. And then that way, when you're ready to do one of these on-the-fly style activities, they're ready to go and you don't have to worry about trying to get them that time to log in. So again, just that idea of blank screen, all class participation, you're getting all student response. So as we go through here, that will be an example of an engagement activity. And really what I was looking to do with no prep, low prep is to give you things that can go through all 4 areas of what I would consider a day in the life of a teacher. You need your engagement activities, those things to hook students in to their lessons. You need some active learning. When you are standing in front of the class and actively teaching, how can we get our kids engaged? Just showing Google Slides on the smartboard is not engaging for our students. They're not interacting with that at all. It's just you going through it, or only maybe one student coming up to be able to move things on the board. So what can we do to get them actively engaged in what we are teaching them? Then we need the follow-up. We need those independent style activities, whether it's one-on-one, working at their desks, or those center activities. And then finally, exit tickets. What can we do to make sure that they got those that information they wanted? So again, looking from those 4 areas. And if you want to take notes in those 4 areas and are looking for a digital way, a great way to do that, I would recommend going into Wixie. As I said, I told you I'm going to be jumping around here. Into Wixie, they have some phenomenal graphic organizers and note-taking things already set up for you that students can access without you having to assign. And I'll be going back to this in a little bit more detail later. But if you go up to New in Wixie, and then under Organizer, so Wixie from ClassLink, New, and then the Organizer, there is a great 4-box page. So you can have your directions here for things ideas that you have for engagement, things for independent work, active learning, and then, of course, exit tickets. So feel free if you wanted to do that. Again, students can access that. So if you're giving lessons and you have 4 different things you want them to concentrate on, have them open Wixie. It's under that new button for them, under graphic organizers. You don't have to do anything. There's no prep. Just have them go. All right. And because it's in Wixie, anything that students open in Wixie is immediately shared with you as the teacher. So you're able to see what they are doing without them having to share anything back with you. So again, very, very much low prep for that. So just an idea, since we're going to be concentrating on 4 areas, a graphic organizer ready to go for you with 4 areas. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about those engagement tools. Again, the idea is to hook your students and to activate that prior knowledge. I already showed you the one there with our Lumio. Google Earth, believe it or not, is a great engagement tool. And I know Google Earth is often very intimidating for folks, but there's a little trick that I wanted to share with you. So I did open Google Earth earlier because I was afraid it was going to take a while to load. If anyone knows, Google Earth can be a bit of a bandwidth hog. It was already open and now it's going to spin for me. There we go. But there is a little button over on the side. And if you've ever attended a Google Earth, perhaps with Tracy or I, you may have heard us talk about the I Feel Lucky button. The I Feel Lucky button flies us to any area in the world. We don't know where we're going to land. And we can use where we land with the information that they give you, excuse me, to ask guiding questions. Makes great warm-ups. So here I am in Google Earth. And over here on the side, you'll see it's my 4th icon down. It looks like a little dice. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And let's see where we're going to end up today. Excuse me. Choking on my own spit. So we're going to be flying in here. Let's let it get in here. It's thinking somewhere in the mountains. So right away, just because this is taking longer, we could certainly start to have some conversations about where do you think we're going to end? It is going a little bit slower than normal. Let's see here. Where is my card? So right here, if you can see it, actually, I'm going to spin that dice again. There it goes. It was going to the National Archaeological Museum, and that's what I was looking for. So when you hit the I Feel Lucky button, a card is going to pop up over on the right-hand side, and it's going to land us on some location. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on that so it stops spinning. If I click over here on my card, it is going to open for me photographs and some information down below. Now I can start asking my questions. Maybe I'm talking in math class and I'm going with geometry. I want you to show me, can you identify a different plane figure that you see in this building in front of us? What are some plane figures that you might see? Go ahead and drop that into the chat. Anybody? Do you see any shapes? Rectangles, yes. You have rectangles right here in the beginning, up across the top. What kind of other geometric terms do you might see here? Not just shapes. Squares. Okay. Rectangles, columns. Yes, parallel lines. So already right away, we're starting to have this conversation. And again, if you bring up Smart Ink on your computer, you would be able to ink over that, that image and bring out those highlights. Going down at the bottom, you'll see oftentimes they'll have a number of some sort. In this case, I have the date that it was established. It could be the population of a city or a country. You know, we could do an activity, write that in standard form, or that isn't standard form, write it in expanded form, write it into Word form. There are other images here. If I go ahead and go over, well, definitely always watch what you have on your screen there when we are talking about Google Earth. We'll bypass that one. We might talk about what is happening, write a story based on this image here of this statue of the boy riding off on the horse. So giving these guiding questions. And what Google Earth has done, and I have the links for you in my presentation, but they have developed actually a whole set of guiding questions that you can use specifically with this I Feel Lucky button. They have it divided up both by subject area. So they have it for math, ELA, science, social studies, and geography. But they also have it in grade levels for grades 4 through 8, actually. So if you're struggling, like, I don't know what kind of questions I would ask, they have those already written out for you. And I have the links that I will give you. Even something as, describing, give me adjectives that work with this picture. Anything to kind of get things going. Again, watch those museums. You can always roll that I feel lucky button and then, have your projector frozen to make sure that everything there is going to be appropriate. I don't know why I keep. Excuse me. So that's another just quick way to hook them in. And again, because you can do it for any subject area, it's really kind of fun to do, even once a week, because it certainly is going to get our students into other areas of the world that they may not be familiar with. It can become the settings for a story or someplace that they want to learn more about. So just kind of another way to approach Google Earth. Some other engagement ideas, Lumio, shout it out. We've gone over that. I've seen it several times. I've done it before, so I didn't want to show you that one. But know that you have the shout it out capability in Lumio where the students can put their answers there. We did the graffiti board. There is also the option for entrance tickets, and these are pre-done. So if I go into Lumio, this was our graffiti bar. I love the picture, by the way, there. That helped. I can go ahead. I'm going to actually stop this lesson. And this is one thing I really like about Lumio is, again, I can continue to add things on the fly if I need to. So this was that existing one that I did with just that whiteboard. I'm going to hit the edit lesson. I need to throw another slide in. It's going to bring me back to my editing screen. If I go down to my plus sign here in the bottom corner, this activating prior knowledge category, KWLs, we've got even just statements true or false, but they also have entrance tickets. So what do you already know about this topic? Gather information. They're already done. All you need to do is select the one that you want, and it drops right into your Lumio lesson. I can then go back. I hit my finish editing. It even takes me back into Lumio, and it's going to bring me right to that slide. Okay. Because this was an entrance ticket, it's even already set to be a student handout, so everyone's going to get their own copy without me having to do anything. Okay. Already done. All you have to do is open it, and you can do it on the fly. Discovery Ed has tons of studio templates. And this one would be what I would classify as a low prep activity. It might take you about 5 minutes to get set up ahead of time, but you can roll with this. So we know in our curriculum, we have lots of Discovery Ed videos that are already linked there for you to use with your students. But I'm sorry, students tune out. We know that. We want to get them a little bit more interacting with their videos. So if you click on that link to that Discovery Ed video in your lesson, it's going to take you over to whatever that is. I'm just going to pull up Revolutionary War. I know that's what my kid is currently doing in 4th grade. So pretend I opened a video from the curriculum itself, and I just want to make it a little bit more interactive. I can pull in, I'll grab this little 3-minute one. And over on the right-hand side here, there's the option to build an activity. Carrie, I don't have time to build activities. I thought you said this was low prep. It is. If you hit the build an activity, and I select slideshow, actually, gotcha. Hit next, give it a title. Yep, that was not the way I wanted. All right, we're gonna, why didn't that work? Oh, here's what I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to the next part. I'm going to do, my apologies. I'm going to save this to my content so I can get to it very quickly. I need to go to Studio. Hit Add. If I go back to the main page, I'm a little flustered with the things not running quite as smoothly there. If I go to Studio, I have the video from the curriculum. I'm going to go to Studio in Discovery. Over here, where it says Create New, Activity Templates, already done. These are based on the Spotlight on Strategies. If you've been with us for a while, if you've attended any of the DE sessions earlier today, you know they've talked about Spotlight on Strategies. So if I go to Activity Templates, here are about 3 dozen of those Spotlight on Strategies where they already have the templates created. All you need to do is drop the video in that's been given to you from the curriculum. AEIOU was one I know we've talked about many times before. I also really like, and I've mentioned a couple of these over here and listed them on the slide deck specifically, but the did you hear that? And half the picture and silence is golden work really well for on these very low prep activities because they don't really require. So here's silence is golden. Let me open that up. You build the activity. All you have to do is drop the video in. And if you save that video to your content or your quick link, you're going to be able to drop my plus sign. Here's my content. My content. And wherever I dropped that, where'd it go? Where's my Revolutionary War one? It was there. But you can find that video. There it is, Curiosity, American Revolution. It drops it in there. I just need to give this a title. And I now have an activity where they're going to mute the sound and they're going to have to watch the video without sound and take notes. And then they have to summarize it. Gets them a little bit more engaged. I can assign it through Discovery. I can assign it through Brightspace. Okay. But again, I already have the video from the curriculum. I have all of those dozens of activities already done for me. And you'll notice even when I open up the teacher notes in that studio board, they have the PDF activities. If you're not quite sure what that strategy is, that will walk you through it. They also have, in the case of these, videos for students to tell them how to do this specific strategy. So again, if you're going to give this to them as an independent activity, you could do that. You could certainly even just pull this up on your screen and do it whole group and have everyone take notes by themselves. But it's a hook, it's an engagement. It ups the ante a little bit on just watching that video. It's giving them a purpose. So check out those studio activity templates. The last thing I want to mention is Wixie, again, for an engagement piece to get them started. They have tons of blank templates that work well. Again, I was already over in Wixie. If I go back, I showed you that 4-box option there, which again, for note-taking works well. But again, under new and organizers, you have circle maps. Classic. Brainstorm everything you know about the topic. It's ready to go there for you. They have KWLs. They have I see, I think, I wonder. So again, if you have an image from the curriculum that you want to use, still pull that up on your screen. Your students can go into Wixie and pull up that I see, I think, I wonder. And you don't have to assign it because it's available to them under the new button. Right? So a couple of quick things. You just have to know that they're there. That's always the challenge, and I realize that. All right. Yes, and I will definitely share the slide deck with you. Don't worry about that. In terms of the assigning to students in Discovery or Brightspace, it's a personal preference. We have directions. Discovery does go beautifully over into Brightspace if you're using that format. That would work well for our media specialists, our EEE teachers, since you are not rostered in Discovery. For our classroom teachers, up to you how you would want to go about that. When we talk about active learning, again, while you're teaching, you're keeping the kids engaged. We want things, sometimes they're going to be independent, sometimes it's collaborative. But again, you're actually in the process of teaching them something about that new concept. So Wixie, here's my thing, guys. If you're telling your students to get out a blank sheet of paper or to grab a dry erase board, they can do it in Wixie. Because again, anytime they open a project, it's shared with you. Why would I want to have them do on Wixie versus doing it on that blank sheet of paper? Well, you're going to have audio. They can record their answers. They can record a video, which they can't do on paper and pencil. It's easy drawing. And let's face it, I don't know about you guys, but my students were always like, all of a sudden they couldn't find their pencil. It was rolling on the floor. They couldn't find their crayons. No excuses. They have the tools available then to draw digitally within that platform. There's images built in. For our students who are uncomfortable with drawing, they can pull into the image gallery and it's safe. They are not to be searching in Google Images in Google Slides, folks. All right? They are not supposed to be doing that. Wixie is the solution for that. There is already an image bank there for them. All right? And you have a record of what they did. Especially if you're talking about whiteboards, they just get erased. Wixie, we can go back and we can see what they've done in the bank. So is there an easy way to see? Yes, Sarah. Actually, Wixie just released an update, I think just a week or two ago. I don't want to take time away from this, but yes, there's a new feature, Remind Me, and I will send you the info on that, because yes, you can now see everyone kind of at once. So it's a great update. So again, Wixie, blank sheet of paper, and I can guarantee you it'll probably take them less time to get into Wixie than it will to, yes, Tammy, I will, then it will to pass out those sheets of paper or get them out of their notebooks, all right? Especially if you've done that trick of having them logged into their Chromebook already. And again, just because I've already mentioned it, there's all those graphic organizers and templates as well. What I'll do is I'll just put that in the end of the slide deck. I'll put that in the link since you all want that. I'll put it there. I'll also post an announcement in Brightspace in the eCoach community for you all too. So just remind me of that one. So blank sheet of paper, Wixie is good to go. All right. Some other options. Lumio, again, blank page. All right. If you need to push out that blank page, that's great. That also works really well for collaboration. You saw how we did that with the whole group. Again, so you could have those small groups they can be drawing. Again, they can, do text, and they can do those images in there as well. Lumio also has graphic organizers. So I'm going to, again, same lesson, guys. I'm just hitting that edit lesson each time I go in. And I need to add another page. As I'm teaching, I can do this. And right here under graphic organizers, 21 graphic organizers in Lumio. All right. So again, if you're already in Lumio and have been using Lumio with your students or using Lumio for that particular lesson, stick with Lumio. You don't have to keep jumping back and forth between multiple platforms, but just know that many of our platforms do support graphic organizers. So we have brainstorming webs, we've got cause and effect, 2-column notes, sequence chart. Any of these can easily be added to an existing Lumio or one on the fly without you having to do the creation. We use 2 charts all the time, pros and cons. When I think about our numbers and multiplication and coming out with our factors, you could have the number at the top and the factors going down the side. It's already there for you.
Real quick, Carrie, we got a question. Is there a way to save groups in Lumio?
So I would have to double check on that one. If you force students to log into Lumio, again, having that Google account, it saves their work. So if they've been in a group, I would assume it's going to still share that group page, that same group work page with those same students. I would have to test that, but that actually I think would work. But I'll have to double check that one and get back to you on that one. All right, Mike, so just remind me on that one. Nearpod, a lot of people use Nearpod. This is another great option to get our students engaged with very little prep, believe it or not. I think sometimes Nearpod intimidates people. So like, I got to load my slides in, I got to make pages. Nearpod actually has a lot of pre-done things for you that you can do on the fly. Another thing that I would recommend doing, and I have an example of this to show you. So I'm going to jump into my Nearpod, again, just to show you, you can do this truly and honestly as we're going. But one thing that I would recommend if you're a Nearpod lover, go in and just make a Nearpod. I'll show you what I did yesterday. Here it is. I actually called it on the fly. I'll bring this up in edit form so you can see it. But I created a Nearpod that just had a blank drawlet side, nothing on it, just blank drawlet. I dropped in a poll question again, and all I did is my answers was A, B, C, and D. Pull that one up, A, B, C, and D. And I also added a drag and drop, and in this case, I made some counters. All right, thinking ahead, manipulatives that you commonly use. So set up a Nearpod that has blank stuff in it, so that whenever you want to do something and you may not have anything prepped, you can open that Nearpod and I have a blank drawlet. I can do a quick poll with my class and I can do a drag and drop in this case with counters with my students. Because every time I go to launch this, I'm going to get a new code. So it's going to allow me to use the same blank presentation over and over and over and over again. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I'm assuming everyone has some kind of background knowledge with Nearpod on that one. Really simple to do. What I also just recently discovered, and by recently, I will say yesterday, we actually had a meeting with Nearpod. Asia, if you attended any of her sessions today, we meet with her on a fairly monthly basis. They have all of these templates already created that are not content specific. So if you're in Nearpod and you go up to the top where it says all and do a search, if you just search template, look at all these templates that they already have done for you, ready to roll. We've got coins. I have an all about me, story map. All right, maybe I want to check that one out. I can hit preview. They have one that's just blank writing lines. All right. Any of these you can go in, if ahead of time, add them to your library so you have them, again, on the fly if you need it. Here is your basic, use a story map to plan who, where, at the beginning, then, and finally. They're already done. All right. The only downside that I would say is that these cannot yet be imported into existing Nearpods. So if you're creating a Nearpod from scratch, you will still have to import your own. We can't move those pages from one Nearpod to another, but already done. And we know that the Nearpods, we can push those out student-based, student self-paced. We can do those, again, live with the teacher if we need to, and they're going to be able to respond. Do we have graphic organizers in Wixie and in Lumio? Absolutely. What makes one better over the other? They're not. It really just depends on your comfort level with the application. It depends on what maybe you're already using with your students that particular day or in that moment in that lesson. Right? There's really not one is going to be better than the other, but they are options. They're already done and available for you. Discovery education. All right. I showed you the studio board. That would be a little bit of a low prep, but they have this thing called live quiz. All right. This is another great way to get your students engaged. So I've already got Discovery open in this case. I'm going to go back to my main page. And if I go to quiz, so I'm on my main Discovery Ed landing page and go to quiz, up here in the top right-hand corner, it says Ask Live Quiz. So we're actually going to do this. I'm going to call this eCoach Day. And I'm going to hit Watch. Now for your students, and I'm going to show you what it looks like for students just so you can see how because I have to give it to you a little bit differently because you're teachers. But for students, you see where you have this code, it says copy code. Your students, you display that code. When your students go in, this is my kid, he will go into Discovery Education, and your students have a spot to put that code. So again, you don't have to try and get a link to them in some way. You don't have to go and post anything. They just need to go into Discovery. And right here in the upper right-hand corner, it says Join Live Activity. So they would select that, and they would enter that code there. Right. On the fly, I'm going to jump back over into me, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat for you. There you go. When you get that link, go ahead and you'll have to go through a sign-in process. Okay. There we go. I got some students joining. And right now your screen is locked. You can't actually do anything. I, as a teacher, am able to open up the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock, and I'm just going to orally ask you the question. You're going to have a response box. Okay. This is going to be the names are hidden. I can show the names if I chose to, but it's going to be anonymous for you. It's not anonymous to me when I go back and look at this. But so far, what are you liking the best so far? Just go ahead and put that in there. It will show me as you're typing. I'll get who has not who has completed, but kind of that progress report. Everyone's jumping in there. And again, the idea behind this is active participation, all student response. We can ask these questions and you could have someone raise their hand, but we know not all of our students are going to answer. And again, this gives me a record. This is going to save. So I can go back later and look at these a little bit closer on. I can't do that if I'm having everyone just raise their hand and answer verbally in the class. Obviously, we still do that. But again, if it's something that we want to be able to go back and refer to later, I can. As you're getting in answers, I can come down here. I can show the answers. So I can say the takeaway resources, okay, love on the staff, Google Earth, okay, but Discovery Ed's taking some points too. Let me tell you, Discovery's coming in. Jen, don't worry about it. We're not going to get held up on that. Lumio. Well, today's been amazing. So I can see these. If you were to ask your students a question that had a right or wrong answer, you can go through and actually grade it, all right? So you can hit yes, no. I don't know who this is. Whoever just put DE, I'm doing X. It's a great answer. I just want to show that it will score that for you. And it comes back on the screen and tells you what your scores are. So I can even very quickly go ahead and do those grading. I can then come back later, and if I do show names, I can see everybody's name. So I do know how my students did. When I'm ready, I can even ask another question. So I'm not limited to just one question. I can ask another question as I go through. Okay, so I can do that over and over and over again. Discovery even has down here at the end, I'm just doing it now, even though I said I was going to do exit tickets later. There's even an exit ticket that's already created for you. So you can see here, how are you feeling right now? Basic, I feel confident, need more practice, too difficult, I'm not really sure. Okay, so again, already done for you. All right. You can also do a video quiz with Discovery. I'm not going into that right now, but know that you can build. You saw that when I went in. Like I said, I was getting ahead of myself a little while ago. Let me go ahead and hit the finish on that one. Hold on. To activity. I'm going to hit my finish. When you go in, you have, again, on any video over on that right-hand side, that ability to build an activity. And you can do a standard quiz, and you can also do a video quiz. We talked about video quizzes in the Creating Digital Instructional Materials course that you all took in the fall. I know that was a while ago. If you need a refresher, let me know. That's something we can do another day. But again, you have the ability to take existing quizzes or existing curriculum videos from Discovery and create a video quiz with that, especially if they've already given you the talking points that you want to talk about. And then you launch that quiz with the students, they join, and it's going to stop and give you those talking points throughout. So much better than just playing the video, me forgetting to hit pause to discuss. It's going to stop us along the way. That one would definitely qualify as that low prep type activity. All right, I'm looking at my time. All right, independent work. We got to have follow-ups, right? We need center, we need rotation ideas. All right, what can I easily give my students to show that they have learned or learning and working on what we have been going over in class? Oops, I went back too quickly there. So no, you're not experiencing deja vu. That is the same Wixie slide from before. Again, if you're having your students do something on a blank sheet of paper or in their journal, they can do it in Wixie. And it's shared with you automatically. Okay. Love that functionality. Have your students, they're doing a math problem. Have them solve the math problem on the page and then record their video explanation of how they actually did that. You have math manipulatives built into Wixie. Utilize them. Okay. The students can go through and do that. You also have, I mentioned the graphic organizers, but keep in mind that students also have this templates folder over here on the left-hand side. And on the templates, you have all sorts of things that the students are going to be able to do. It's particularly in this general folder. Couple of classics. If you've been with me before, you've heard me say them before. And they're classics because they're oldies, but they're goodies. You got a trifold brochure. That pops up all the time in our, in our curriculum and things. Have the kids make a trifold brochure. Have them do it digitally, folks. There's a vocabulary, the trading card. You can do so many things with the trading card. You can even let the students choose some of these activities, and I'll show you an easy way to do that here in a moment. But you have these that are already built for you. In the templates folder, your students are going to be able to access many of them. If you want to go to that low prep a little bit, you could take these and assign them to your individual students based on their group work. Maybe they're small reading groups. You could tweak it for the specific story that they're reading. In the math folder, templates, grids, real quick and easy thing, doing area and perimeter, have them create 5 shapes that all have the same area but have different perimeters. You don't have to assign anything. They can click in and get the grid and use the paint bucket to fill that in. Okay? And they can't say that they lost it. They forgot to put it in the basket. You have line plots on here. You've got 10 frames down here for our little guys. All right? Lots of options in the templates folder for our students. Again, in that curriculum folder, additional options that you can do in Wixie for those follow-ups, especially if I go into language arts and look under reading, there's vocabulary practice. There's going to be writing practice, tons of things. It's a little bit of prep in the sense you have to kind of know what's there and you have to assign them to the students, but it's still going to save you time because you don't have to go to the copier. Okay. And we've specifically called some of these out for you in the documents that I share with you at the end. So don't feel as if we're completely leaving you like, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. We've pulled some specific ones out for you with some ideas. And I'll share that at the end. We also have, okay, in Discovery, as well, let me stick with Wixie. I should have flipped my order here. I'll stick with Wixie because I'm there right now. Some other things that work really well, again, either is for independent work or centers, are choice boards. All right. I love choice boards. I think giving student voice and the opportunity to choose what they want to do to showcase is great. They're time consuming to make. Wixie and Discovery both have choice boards done for you. All right. I'm already in Wixie, so I'm going to show you those. Couple I wanted to point out specifically. If you search roadmap, I hear from my pre-K, K, first grade, even my second grade teachers all the time, I just don't know what to do with my kids for their tech skills. What can I do? These are roadmaps. They just added preschool just about a month ago. I'll go ahead and pull up the kindergarten one. These are designed to have our students learn things like drag and drop, how to use the audio tools, how to use a paint bucket, but they are geared, but they are still tied to curriculum standards. Assign this to your students, either through Wixie or Brightspace, and you have centers for a month. All right. Any of these that the students would click on, so here's a mouse, a drag and sort. For students, when they select this, it will open for them where they can edit it. I'm going in as a teacher, so I'm seeing a preview mode, but for your students, it will open for them and they'll be able to do the activity. Because they've opened it, you're going to be able to see what they've done. If you want to. Let's be honest, some of the stuff we don't always need to check everything, right? But those roadmaps are already there for you. And while they are geared towards pre-K, K, and 1, certainly even my second grade folks, you could certainly use those as well with your students, particularly that first grade one. Some other choice boards, all right? Wixie has choice boards for all sorts of things in both language arts and math, as well as even some of the holidays. But I want to show you specifically some of the language arts ones. I'm going to go to curriculum. You can also search choice boards. They'll pop up that way too. But if you go to language arts and go into reading and comprehension, here is an entire choice board for book character traits. We do character traits all the time. We get stuck in a rut doing the same thing over and over. Here are 6 different activities. You could certainly do this where you do each of these 6 activities assigned to your students, and then the 7th time around, you give them the choice board. Okay, but most of these are going to be fairly straightforward. They'll be able to understand what to do because they all have those instructions for them over on the right-hand side, and those instructions will read to them. Okay, so here's one for book character traits. They have it for comprehension skills for both nonfiction and fiction. They're a little bit further down. Actually, they're in the other section, I believe. Here's book review as a choice board selection. Where's my nonfiction and fiction here? I'll just search in my choice boards. Here, it's a little bit easier. If you just search choice boards, you'll see them all. Shape choice boards for my primary. All right, here's one for shapes. For practicing, simple shapes, shape patterns, sorting shapes, 3D shape box. Already done. You just need to assign them to students. Read Across America Day was this week. Actually, is it today or is it tomorrow? I can't remember. Here's a choice board with 6 different activities for you, ready to roll. Black History Month was last month. Counting choice board. Here's for my older students for showing their math work. 6 strategies that we do show our students. 10 blocks, 10 frames, part, whole, decomposition, number line. Already done. And again, those comprehension ones, I swear, are coming up down here as I keep scrolling. Story starters, here they are. Here's that comprehension choice. There's one for literature, and there's also one for informational text. You can assign these, give those students that choice. All right. Again, I've got some here specifically listed out. Just search choice boards in Wixie. You'll see that tons of opportunity. In Discovery, they also have choice boards. So I'm back over in Discovery. I'm going to go into choice board. The easiest way I have found, go ahead and search choice board, and then you can narrow it by age range. I'm going to select the pre-K as well as the 3-5. Here we go. Learning choice board for grades 3 to 5. Here's one. I really do like this one. This is, again, works well for centers. Students get to choose something that they want to learn about. Maybe I want to learn more about elephants. A video is there for them, and then they have the strategy or the activity that they are supposed to do with that. Then when they're ready, they can go back home. And what I love about these in particular, many of these are still designed to be done paper and pencil. So your students can watch the video, you can assign it through Brightspace, assign it through Discovery, and they could still do that hand copy if they want, or you could pair it with another graphic organizer in Discovery or not Discovery, in Wixie or something along those lines. That happened to be one for 3 to 5, but they're all still standards based in terms of the activity that they do with that particular video. You'll see that they have them, again, for many of the months. There's an Earth Day one. If y'all know me, I was very happy to find the other day there is one now all on the Lego, based off of one of their virtual field trips that they recently did. They did an entire board on Lego. Here it is, Lego Play to Learn choice board. I was very excited about this. So this is an option. They also have SEL, so social emotional learning choice boards already developed. Great center activities for when you need something for students. They also work really well, honestly, for substitutes, for sub-plans. Don't want to have, those last minute things when our kids are sick or we're sick last minute and we need something, we're going to have those options there too. So here's one. Again, the video is up here, and then they can click on what they want to learn more about. I'm always about Imagineering, part of the video, and then with that strategy that's going to be working, in this case, on summarizing. So lots of options in Discovery, as well for those choice boards. And again, we've called out some specific ones in the documents that I'll share with you here at the end. All right, interactives. We love our interactives. Again, that works out really well for independent work. We tend to stick our kids on iReady. I'm sorry, they're bored of it. Okay, they're looking for something a little bit different. We tend to go to games like ABC, but we don't really have control over what maybe they're going to on those sites. Both Discovery and Google Earth provide interactives that we can use with our students. In Discovery, if you go, you can even just type interactives, but you can also go to this Explore button here on your bar across the top. And once you come into Explore, and if you were in with Brad earlier today, you may have seen these already, but for those of you that weren't, let me highlight them. There is this Best of Interactives. So what they have here, they have science, social studies, math, and ELA interactives. And the science ones they also have in Spanish. All right. I'm going to go into English. And these are going to be designed, as you'll see, these are K5. Some are definitely more primary. Some are definitely more intermediate. All right. But you can go in, sorting sounds. Just a, word of caution. And the reason I went into ELA, they were done by Discovery Education United Kingdom, the UK. So there is a bit of an accent on some of those. So just be aware of that with the sounds in particular, that it might have a slightly different tone than what our students are used to. But look at all of what they have here, ready to go, that you can assign to students within Discovery or within Brightspace. You find one, you just hit the 3 dots, you have the ability to assign that. Your classes are already loaded in. If you are a rostered class in PowerSchool, your students are already there. These can also be shared to your and saved to your My Content, so you can go back and find them easily later, and then you can attach those using in Brightspace using the external tool option. This is just the reading page. We even get down into grammar down here for them, design a pirate character. They're very interactive. It's something different for students to do. Again, math is there, lots of options for math, science, social studies, ready to roll. All right. You also are going to have over there, as I said, Google Earth. I did close it. I'm not going to reopen it because I only have 5 minutes. But if you go into Google Earth and go to the Voyager, that's the little, looks like a ship steering wheel. That's the Voyager. They have quizzes in there. And I'm just throwing this out for all my other fellow 80s and 90s kids out there. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Okay, the only thing missing is the rockapella theme music. But they can go through Google Earth and they are solving the crime with Carmen Sandiego. And they go through and they have to figure out areas about this geography and where these countries are in order to decide and figure out where they're going. Very well done. Would definitely recommend those. Lesson wrap-ups, just really quickly here in my remaining 4 minutes. Again, Wixie, super easy. Have them open a blank page, do a video explanation. Don't even have to type or do anything, but have them talk it through. All right. I mention that because so many of our students, sometimes it's hard to tease out. Do they truly understand the concept? And are they just having trouble writing it out? Do our students need to write? Absolutely. Do they need to be able to express themselves in written language? Yes. But we know that those are 2 very different skills. So sometimes if they can explain it, then we can say, oh, you know what, they really do understand what we're talking about. They really did get, the problem and the solution of that story. He's just having trouble writing it out. Then I can concentrate on the skill of getting those thoughts down on paper. All right. Also within Wixie, if you go to templates and under teacher, you'll find there is a whole folder of exit tickets. And I will tell you, or not a whole folder, but there are several different options for exit tickets. Students also have access to those. So you don't have to assign them ahead of time. They can go to templates. They have that same teacher file. I don't know why, but it's there. And they can pull up those exit tickets as well. So we have here with the feelings, how do they think with their progress today? I love the I'm one smart cookie. It's a play on our 3-2-1 exit ticket that we've done in the past. Great options there for a quick exit ticket. We also, of course, have exit tickets in Lumio. All right. In Lumio, they have an entire page. If I go back, right here under questioning and reflection. All right. We have a couple of versions of Shout It Out. Again, a 3-2-1 here. Again, back to that, do you agree or disagree with smart response, or what was smart response? It's the same kind of idea. But here, 3-2-1 countdown. Summarize what you've learned. Share 3 things you've learned. A 6-word summary. These are ready to go. All you got to do is drop them into Lumio. You're going to be ready to roll. All right, here's my preview. Well, I learned, or things, and I have things that I have questions about. Nearpod also has lesson reflections. I actually linked this one directly because I was able to do that. Ooh, now it's going to tell me 404. I will have to check that. But Nearpod also does have, I think I probably saved it under my lessons, but they also have, again, under those templates, they have some of those opportunities or those templates ready to go. That's going to have, I thought I saved one. Maybe I didn't. Again, exit tickets. So if you're already in Lumio, or excuse me, already in Nearpod, you can pull that and use those as well. So again, pretty much all of our applications have some pre-built exit ticket that you can use. You saw that in Discovery earlier when I did the live quiz. That's an option as well. So with that, I am going to drop this slide deck for you. It will be in the eCoach community. Everything's going to be linked for you, but I'm going to go ahead and drop this in the chat for you. You'll see if you go to the last slide, I have quite a few links there for you. First is the no prep, low prep lists that we have put together here in the office. You should have seen the Wixie one already. We've pushed this one out to you multiple ways over the last about 2 months. It was also shared with some of our principals. It was in the Tech Digest. I believe I put it in an announcement eCoach community. But jumping off of that, we've also created one for Lumio. So I'll put that here. So that's there. And we also did one for Discovery. And for Discovery, we caught out some specific things that I also did not go over in my time with you here today. Feel free to share these. These are also linked on Teacher Intro to Digital Tools on those appropriate application pages. Google Earth resources, I had mentioned those earlier. These are what I was talking about with those guiding questions. They call them passports. So I just linked the ones for the content areas, but if you go to the main page, which I've also linked here, which is Google Earth resources, you'll find the ones for the specific grade levels. But if you scroll down, it's typically towards the end here. So here is the warm-up guide. If I scroll down, here's your standards, and here's the questions. So here's some example questions for grade 4s, 5, and 6, 7, and 8 that you can use with that I Feel Lucky button in Google. And all of those other passports for the other content areas are divided up very much the same way. So it gives you a starting point for those. Lastly, Nearpod, again, just got this yesterday. So this is hot off the press. Nearpod test prep. They have a whole section, and what I wanted specifically, I talked about those graphic organizers that they have in Nearpod. You might be thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to go through those. I don't want to know what they have. Just tell me what they have. This was a really nice document. If I'm going to skip over page 2, but know that there's some good stuff here for you. If you go to page,
I was like, okay, we are over a little on time.
Yeah, I know. We've got the math information right here. The graphic organizers divided up for what they have for the 4 content areas. And they have the link that'll take you directly to those. So that's in the slide deck for you as well. All right. Sorry I went over. Y'all know me. I tend to talk a lot. But we will see you over in that closure. Make sure you got the attendance link so that we see you. Thank you. And we will see you in just a moment in the other meet. I'm going to go ahead and stop here.
The templates into a library.
Paige, are you going to stop the recording? Paige, I got the recording. I think it'll let me stop it. Nope, you got it.
Go there.
There. I got this recording.